I love the energy that everybody is bringing with them to this conference. I'm Joe LeBlanc. I'm the founder of Butch Voices. I don't live here in Oakland. I'm sure a lot of you know that. I live in Portland, Oregon. So putting on a national conference remotely is a lot of work. But being here in the space makes it worthwhile every time. I mean, just the meet and greet alone, seeing the faces and the energy, much less yesterday's sessions, the keynote. I mean, the stories that we're sharing with one another, it's medicine for my soul. And I need it. And I know that you all need it too. So I appreciate you bringing your whole selves to us today. We've got an amazing program, which you all should have in your lovely little bags. We've got some artwork done by our artist friend Audrey, who's here with us today. Shout out to Audrey. And then our graphic designer, Tootie. I don't think Tootie's here yet this morning, but she's a badass and did this great program that you have in your hands. And we've got a great Butch Voices team here today. Got myself and Carolyn Weisinger. Carolyn's wearing a few hats, literally. She's a presenter as well as one of our board members. So I just want to tell you about some of the things that we've got going on today. We've got this keynote that you all are here for. And then directly after, we're going to be doing a book signing. And we're going to do it downstairs in the vendor section where we have Laurel Bookstore. They have Gabby's book, Juliet Takes a Breath, as well as all 5 issues of America, which you all need to pick up, right? Because that's history right there. Not only is it a queer Latina superhero, what? But there's also a queer Latinx writer for a major item like that. I mean, I know you all have seen it, right? Not only America Chavez knocking out a Nazi, which is very necessary right now, but just I can't even imagine someone growing up right now and seeing that and knowing what's possible, right? Huge. You can't even put an amount on that. So I'm going to pass this mic over to Carolyn, who's going to introduce our nice keynote.
All right.
I'm excited.
I can do that. All right. So I do have the pleasure of introducing the keynote. Everybody can hear me, right? Yeah. Okay. So I did write something, and I decided not to use it because, I do better when I'm just standing here just randomly talking. The keynote actually requested for me to write her an entire Tyler Perry gospel musical. I determined that because I do not have a choir behind me and because I only belt out hymns when I'm actually at church with people around me when you can't hear me, that I was not going to do that. But it's very interesting as I sat down to think about the journey of my journey with this person actually started at Butch Voices 2013. She does not know this. So, at Butch Voices 2013, one of our sponsors was Autostraddle, the blog Autostraddle. And in our gift bags, we had flyers for A-Camp. So I decided to apply to A-Camp. A-Camp is a huge queer, any camp that you think of, your camp that you went to when you were a young kid, but it's all 300 queers for 5 days on a mountain. So I decided to apply to this camp. I've been to Black Lesbians United, so I've been on a mountain with 150 lesbians before. I've been to the Nia Collective, so I've been on another mountain with 100 lesbians before. So I said, well, I need to go to this mountain too. If there's a mountain with lesbians or queer people, I need to be there. When they received my application, they saw that I've done writing before. They asked me to work with one of their staff writers to build a QPOC space, and that person was Gabby Rivera. And from the time that we started corresponding, we saw that our spirits just automatically connected. We were both very committed to radical inclusion of all of our intersectional identities. We're both very invested in the community that we built, which was called the Speakeasy, because a lot of those kids were young kids. A lot of those kids were POC youth who spent a lot of time with most of their white friends, who had never been around queer people of color at all. Some of them had never seen elder Black lesbians. So when I would tell them about a place like Black Lesbians United, where I met a 75-year-old Black lesbian, they're like, wow, there's 75-year-old lesbians? Yes. So we as being elders in that, I'm used to spaces like that where I'm always the baby. I'm learning from my elders. I came out into an elder space immediately. So to be in a space where we were now the elders, even in my relationship with her, she's always asking me questions, and I'm like, I'm only 38. What are you talking about? But I recognize from what I was taught from also in this space here at Butch Voice is about being an elder, and everything that you all pass on to me, I now get to pass on to her, and she gets to now pass on to millions of youth through America Chavez, right?
Yeah.
So I am proud of her. She calls me and asks me questions, and I'm like, you the one over here writing for Marvel and writing books. I'm still trying to write some books. So we appreciate each other's relationship, because when it's one-on-one, we are just two queer boys who just appreciate the love that we have for each other. So I'm not going to continue to take up your time talking about how much I love Gabby. I love Gabby, and I know that all of you are here because you love the radical work that she has done, and I'm excited to bring her up to the stage so she can talk a little bit about her journey in the Butch community. Come on up. And technically that was a church introduction. I mean, I would have done the same if I was at a revival introducing a preacher. So there you go.
Oh my gosh. I love you too. Oh my goodness. Hello, let's how we do this. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Is Koja here? Koja was a keynote yesterday and was amazing, and like I just want to honor them, and I want to say that like because of their like genuine and authentic like sharing, I was like, okay, I wanted to like readjust and kind of like be a little softer and just be like Gabby. So okay.
Thank you.
Woo! Okay. Hello, my name is Gabby. My pronouns are she, her, lover boy. I am so happy to be here. But for me, what's really important is like all of us. So I want everyone to take a minute, right? Like I'm up here, right? But like I want everyone to just take a minute and like look around. Literally, like look at each other. If you are in the back, try to peek around over here. If you're over here, try to peek. Like, take a second to take each other in, please. Okay? Do you see the folks who showed up for Butches today, yo? Do you see everybody? And however Butch manifests for you, like, look at the community that has shown up right here. Okay? And so one thing that I think is important is to make sure, like I said, we were honoring each other. So I think it'd be cool if you turn to the person next to you. I know we're going to talk to each other. Okay. And if you're too shy and you're like, oh, no, Gabby, I'm too shy. That's okay. That's okay. You can just sit in your corner and be happy on the inside. That's cool. So we're going to do this all at one time. So find a person next to you, hopefully someone you don't know. And are y'all cool? Are y'all with me to like do a little like repeat after me kind of thing? Yeah? Yeah, everybody's like, oh, it's early. It's early. Okay, so is everybody looking at someone? Yeah, look at y'all. Yes. Yeah. All right, now repeat after me. All right, y'all ready? Everybody, repeat after me to the person that you're looking at the same time. Are y'all ready? Thank you for being here. Thank you for honoring our community. I see you. I hold you. And I honor you. All right, now let's all just take a deep breath. Ready? We're all friends now. Okay. That feels good. That feels good. All right, I want to talk about why that's like important to me, right? I feel like I see us, right, butch folks, however we present, right? I see butch in a lot of ways. And we move in the world, like, often alone, okay? Like, we move, sometimes shoulders taut. I got my mean mug in place. We are gazing directly ahead so as not to catch the eye of someone, of anyone, even trying to say something. What do you got to say to me? I don't want to know you. I don't want to see you judging me. We need to be able to get from point A to point B in these bodies and these presentations as safely as possible. And so, do we get to look around at each other? No. It's not even that we forget to look around to each other. We do not have the option at times. Because I swear to God, if I look around and someone gets funny with me, and if we lock eyes and I'm too tired to deal with you because you can't handle me looking this great in this body, oh my God. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to move like that because butch is love to me, and it's hard for me to love you out in these streets. And it's not just about the people that aren't butch. It's about seeing each other as butch folks too. It's beyond the nod, beyond the, oh, I see a butch over there, but they're way too butch. Or, I ain't really butch. Fuck that motherfucker. They're not butch. Also, like, that person next to them, not really femme, so I don't even see y'all as a couple. So I'd really like to distance myself from y'all because you're a lot of things and I'm a lot of things, but I'm not that butch. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me. But I am pressed and I am in pain, and I know that we need to see each other spiritually, emotionally, physically, with or without eyes. We need to use that other sense. We've just had a second to hold each other with love and honor each other. And now it's time for that, like, spiritual eye, right? The see our ancestors in our dreams kind of eyes. The eyes that alert you to a change in the winds. The ones that spring to life at the first light of a candle, because that's your altar. And it's for the ancestors, but mostly it's for you. So I need everyone to channel that spirituality and remember and hold and think about the folks that you bring with you. Because maybe there are times where we are not looking at each other, but we are holding our people anyway. And I'll start. I always carry two folks with me. I carry Cristina Santiago and Maria Perez every single day. Cristina was my best friend. She was also queer and Latina, and from the Bronx. All the things, okay? Fine as hell. Girl on the block, big bamboo earrings. And she was the first person to see me as beautiful for being butch. She was also the first one to show me that I could be attractive to women and to myself and to her. And Maria, we'll talk more about Maria, but for now, Maria was the first butch to pull me close and teach me about the ways that masculinity could be healing and glorious. Christina is no longer with us. Maria is, and she is thriving. She has a son. And I hold them both with me every day, with every step. And I ask, who do you move with? Will you share their names? Go ahead, keep going. Who do you hold? Jean Cordova. Let me just take a moment. As butches, folks that make radical love to gender and orgasm in leather and snapbacks and maybe even nail polish, As butches and folks, we carry so many people with us. We carry the butches that we've given our love virginity to, the butches who let their hair run long and their nails go short, the ones who molded us into better humans with dough on their fingertips and fucked us into better understandings of our own bodies, the ones that prayed over our wrecked spirits because the patriarchy was just too much. And to all the butches who have offered all of us these really strong arms to heal up in, we carry them because so many of them have been lost. We are a people that moves forward, always carrying those who are not with us. And we hold them so close and so deep because we are often so close to losing ourselves that if we can just hold on to them, then maybe there's a piece of us that will also survive. This world is hard sometimes. It makes me wonder, are we supposed to be this way? Are we supposed to be like this? What does supposed to be even mean? They tried to shame the butch out of me. My mom was always bewildered by the butch in me. She tried to white stocking it out of me, chemically straighten it out of me. Nena, maybe this time at the dress shop it'll stick. Maybe we can David's bridal the butch out of you. But hey, Mom. I'm here. And I think about it sometimes and I'm like, maybe we don't carry anyone. Maybe they hold us up. Maybe they give us the energy needed to free ourselves from the gravity of what they say a woman should be. What they say a gendered human should be. Maybe the ancestors that uphold us allow us to be free. And I know they're here with us at the 2017 Butch Voices Conference. We didn't even do this on purpose, but I wrote about Carolyn, because Carolyn Weisinger is my brother from another mother. Carolyn is the first Butch I ever called brother. Carolyn brought me to this conference, believed in my work with America Chavez, my novel Julia Takes a Breath, all of our LGBTQ stuff, but Carolyn believed in me enough to open space in this community and invite me in. Think about that. If you find a safe place, you get to invite people in. That is the radical work to me. This is the work of folks who love each other to say brother, sibling, familia. This is butch work. And I say that to mean that we are responsible for emotional labor, spiritual labor, labor that benefits our entire community. And we've always done this work. I'm learning that it isn't just me, that it has always been us, and that this isn't new. But I gotta be honest, it's hard to find. I really want to stand up here and say that my first memories of butches were gentle and kind and so radical in the ways that they navigated vulnerability and misogyny, but that'd be a fucking lie. But so would acting as if my first memories of butches were devoid of tenderness. We're complicated. Yeah. The first butch lesbian I ever knew in real life was my cousin Jay, Puerto Rican from the Bronx, joined the Air Force, found freedom in fatigues and being stationed in Hawaii, far away from the family. See, she was out, but not out. Yeah. Butch. But not fucking butch at all. Don't you even call me that. How are you going to say that to me? Yeah. Same cousin that would kick your ass, out drink you, and snatch all your money on that pool table, but Jesus, don't call her a butch. Jay got her nails done, had her hair short, shorter than usual, but nena, not unfeminine. And still, in her uniform, none of it mattered. Because she moved like a butch. And no, there's no one way to move like a butch, but when you exist in the world like a butch, you've got to move. And for Jay, that meant tough shoulders. It meant she always looked like she couldn't give a fuck about anything that came out of your mouth, but she was listening and watching you. Were you safe? Could she break a little in her demeanor? Could she be more butch in this space? Was it with the guys at work? Is it at the bar with a beer in her hand? She was cocked and loaded, ready to take you out, but somehow hoping that you were family. that she could just be comfortable and let it out this time. Cause last night she was at a baby shower with the family. And she saw me right away. Probably before anyone else did, and definitely way before I saw myself. And I saw her on the margins of acceptable femininity and toughness and old school Latina butch. Like, I'm the one in charge. Like, you better look at me when you're talking to both of us, and please give me the check and don't talk to my woman. And I always felt that tension in her body, the way she held shame and rage and the ache for tenderness and acceptance. And that tension was something that even at 12, it hurt me. I hurt for her. There was something I wanted to ease for her. But I got to see her and adapt how she did butch and wonder and see if I could like try that on. And Jay did that thing where she invited me to the dyke parties with her friends. And I saw real lesbians in real life in the 90s in bootcut jeans, Melissa Etheridge t-shirts, and they were okay. They had like girlfriends and sex. Oh my God. And Jay... And Jay, oh my God, you should have seen her with the women. Like, her butch magic was electric, and especially in these tight house parties and smoky dive bars where lesbians congregated far from the eyes of any family, any baby shower. In this world, Jay reigned. And what I wanted was the confidence and the charm. How do you talk to girls like that, Jay? Oh my God. I wanted to be brave, like Jay, like brave, like walk out of your mother's house and build your own life type of brave. But also from Jay, there were some things I couldn't grapple with that I didn't need, like this idea that femmes were weaker than, that they must be protected but also acquired like trophies and manipulated, gaslit, pushed to the edges of their loyalty. Who do you go home with? Me. Who are you talking to? Me. What was that about? Why? I also worried and feared the bristle up. Y'all know the bristle up. When a butch you don't know walks into the room, gotta bristle up. Whew. But I felt like what should have been family was viewed as threat. What is me is only me when it's safe. What is me is other, is threat, is competition, is unworthy of my love and affection, is unworthy of my tenderness, is more worthy of my fist than my heart. I didn't understand. I didn't understand why I wasn't supposed to trust bisexual women. And I also didn't understand why it was so important that women needed to be born women to be women. And at one point, I felt like something maybe had to change a little bit. I grew up a little bit. I had to break away from this circle of lesbians who weren't challenging each other to evolve in their viewpoints. They weren't challenging each other as family to work through internalized misogyny and racism. No one was calling in their family to say, hey, don't you ever fucking shake up your girlfriend, ever. Yeah. Don't treat her like that. You are not in control of her body. No one was bringing their ancestors into the space. It was as if lesbianism only started with the L word or something like that. And no one was talking about how radical gender and butchness could be when you explode them together. And I just needed butches who were butches on purpose in public and not trying to hide, and who could also see butch as a glorious tool for evolution and spiritual growth. I was still pretty much a piece of shit baby dyke, but I knew. I knew I could be better. Whew. And then I met Maria. Maria from the beginning of this conversation, this long-haired Chicanx. I worship the soil and the skies, and animals are what we need to protect, that type of butch. Maria changed everything. Maria made butch beautiful. Who was the first butch that you ever met that made butch beautiful? Say their name. Everybody's got somebody. So in a trailer, out in the middle of the desert in Santa Fe, Maria taught me how to care for baby chicks. She got them from a friend. She called them desert dykes. And these baby chicks, it was my job to raise them. And while we cared for the little baby chickens and got on our squats and our knees and watched them as they moved around, Maria was also learning to be a papa mama to her son. And she taught me that gentleness was strength and nurturing was necessary and vital. Maria, Latina, brought me to the burial grounds of her ancestors and taught me that soil, la tierra, lived on our skin and in our spirits. And she taught me that butch was spiritual because the ancestors made us this way. Because they were butch and they were femme and they were beyond all of that, anything that we could ever understand. So all of this that I am is how I'm supposed to be. Maria taught me that being butch meant I could enjoy every aspect of my identity, that I didn't have to sever womanhood from myself. I didn't have to sever being Latina to live into butchness. And she brought me out into the desert and under the stars and introduced me to stone cold butches who carried machetes at their hips and had tattoos that they'd given themselves. Maria took me to meet butches who were beekeepers because they believed it was their job to honor the creatures of the earth. I got to see butches in real life once again, but this time as a kaleidoscope of wondrous possibility. Maria and her team of hippie brown butches saved me from so much self-hate and shame. I saw that I could be butch in 3D with intention, vulnerability, and it was beautiful. I also got to be like that little baby butch in between all the couples, you know, getting adopted. There is nothing like being surrounded by that type of love, where folks who look like you are subverting the gender roles that you have seen growing up in your house, where it's the one in the jeans and the this cooking the food and holding the baby, and it's the femme chopping the wood, and it's folks that don't fit into any of those roles, working like a family. Everyone casting spells for protection while watching telenovelas and being free. And also learning that gender and labels and body parts weren't all connected in the same rigid way. There was no checklist on what made someone a real woman or a real butch or a real this or a real that. As we are is how we were and how we exist. The universe will always make room. Maria said, the universe will always make room. I also learned to talk about lovemaking in ways that felt respectful and gorgeous, like deity worship, complete with tales of rapture and weeping in the arms of the human that you love. And oh my God, if this is how I can butch, then let me run fist first into all of it and allow it to devour me and offer me rebirth. Baptize me in these butch waters because I've seen the light and there's no going back. And holy shit, there goes 6 inches of my hair. Hi, Mom. Oh my God, and now listen, 34 years later on this earth and I'm thriving and I'm here, and it's because of all of those that came before me. And I think this marks a decade of being like officially butch, not just kind of like butch on the weekdays but not at the wedding, you know what I mean? Like that one dress, those old heels. Don't, you know, Tia Magdalena is 89. You don't want her seeing you with a shaved head, Nana. Anyway, let me come back and bring it back. Now I'm a lover boy, and I'm an Uncle Papi, and a soft mamita when I want to be, and none of it strips my connection to this community. None of it. No one can take Butch from me or from us. And so now I kind of see it, thank you, as my official job to offer models for young folks navigating queer identities. Yeah. I do it through my writing, through America Chavez, through storytelling. I feel like it's my responsibility to collectively encourage young people at all times to engage in the following. Yeah. Consent. Yeah. We must model gentle and ultra-honest conversations about sex and bodies. To say things like, it is okay, ask your partner if you can kiss them, and how they like to be touched, if at all, what they call their body parts, what they want you to call them. To talk about, and to also talk about the millions of other ways that we can be intimate with each other without fucking or touching or taking off our clothes, because there's magic in that too. And we must model love. We must show and talk to folks and young people about literally honoring each other when they walk into the room. And listen, Oakland, I gotta say, as a New Yorker through and through, this love that I've been feeling from y'all is wild. You guys have it on lock. I'm like, why? Why is everyone so nice? And Carolyn's like, it's important for y'all to remember, especially young butches, that we are not each other's enemies. We are not, I am not, and y'all shouldn't be out here trying to steal anybody's women's partner's bed friends. And to be honest, if the person you're with is unconsensually pursuing other folks in front of you, the problem probably lies more with them and not the bush that you are trying to confront. Also, baby studs, baby butches, you can fuck each other. You can fuck each other and lick each other and cry watching Selena together. That does not make you any less butch or anything else. It is beautiful. You deserve to make love to yourself and to another human who moves in the world the same way that you do. And also, black and brown studs and boys, this gentleness is for us. I am speaking to you, to our families. We must wrap our arms around each other and hold tight. We must center healing. We must bring in the young ones and the elders and make time to move mountains with our stories and love, because we hold together nations. And in the face of rampant white supremacy continuing to show itself, because it never went away, it has always been here. It just has a little more press coverage these days, a little more social media presence. Listen, because people are bold. This is not new. We have been here before. We will always be here, and that is why I say center healing, because there is only so much fight. We are always fighting. Our existence is a fight, and so when we come together, it has to be a little softer. From offering each other plates of food and couches to crash on, to helping folks and young people apply for college, offering paid apprenticeship, internship, reviewing legislation, showing the fuck up to town hall meetings so black and brown, trans, non-binary, queer kids can use the fucking bathroom and not get arrested. We have a lot of work to do. And a lot of modeling. And so one of the best places I feel that I have gathered all of these thoughts, and what I really want to say to folks is the last letter of my book, Juliet Takes a Breath. So I'm going to read that to y'all, and that'll be we good. Dear Juliet, repeat after me. You are a bruja. You are a warrior. You are a feminist. You are a beautiful brown babe. Surround yourself with other beautiful brown and black and indigenous and morena and chicana and native, Indian, mixed race, Asian, gringa, boricua babes, and let them uplift you. Rage against the motherfucking machine. Question everything anyone ever says to you or forces down your throat or makes you write 100 times on a blackboard. Yeah. Question every man that opens his mouth and spits out a law over your body and spirit. Question every single thing until you find the answer in a daydream, and don't question yourself unless you hurt someone else. And when you hurt someone else, sit down and think and own your shit and make it right. You need to apologize when you fuck up, Juliet. Try to live forever. Consult the ancestors while counting stars in the galaxy. Hold wisdom under tongue until it's absorbed into the bloodstream. Do not be afraid. Do not doubt yourself. Do not hide. Be proud of your inhaler, your cane, your back brace, your acne. Be proud of the things that this world uses to make you feel different, othered, unwanted. Love your fat, fucking glorious body. Yeah. Love your breasts if you got them. Love them if you don't. Your hips, your wide ass. And if you don't, love the body that you create for yourself. Love the fact that you have ingrown hairs on the back of your thighs and your grandmother's mustache sitting comfortably on the top of your lip. Read. Read all the books that make you whole. Read all the books that pull you out of the present and into the future. Read all the books about women who get tattoos and break hearts and rob banks and start heavy metal bands. Read every single one of them, and God damn it, Juliet, kiss everybody. Ask first. Always ask first. And then kiss the way stars burn in the sky, Juliet. Trust your lungs, trust the universe, trust your damn self. You should love hard and deep without restraint or doubt. Love everything that brushes past your skin and lives inside your soul. Love yourself. In La Virgen's name and in the name of Selena, amen.
I'm interested in your character, the America, and how did that come about? Like, was it just a small little dream, or I don't know?
Sure. I currently write America Chavez for Marvel, like Joe was saying. Marvel's first Latina lesbian superhero. Hey! And the wild ass thing is that, like, nah, man, I never thought about, like, I want to be a comics writer. I'm just, like, a poet and a writer. But America Chavez is a character that Marvel developed 6 years ago. Two white guys developed her. She is a young Avenger, the Team Brigade, and she's kind of, like, has always just been generic Latinx tough girl, right? And so they decided to develop a solo series, and Marvel folks were looking for, like, authentic voices. And so Will Moss at Marvel read Juliet Takes a Breath somehow and contacted me. And so I'm at work, and I get this email from Marvel, and I'm like, what? Oh, my God. And I, like, ran down the stairs, and I'm like, Mommy, I don't know what's happening, but Marvel wasn't. And so I was like, hell yeah, I want to write for Marvel. That is incredible. Like, you know, at first I was like, I can't do that. I don't write comics. And then I was like, well, I'm going to learn today. You know, like, I'm going to learn today. Like, and so I got in touch with them and all this stuff. And what we worked out was, you know, America Chavez is a character whose mothers, she has two moms, they sacrificed themselves for the universe. So essentially she grew up as kind of like an intergalactic orphan. Yeah, so there's a lot there. And so with America, we wanted to tell the story of her kind of taking a break from being an official, like, superhero with the, oh my God, with her team that she was running with. God, I'm losing my mind. And send her to college. So right now, America goes to Sotomayor University from Sonia Sotomayor. But it's also like a good time and a good opportunity to explore her like family relationships. Like we're developing like a grandma character and pulling in like elements of like what does being Latina look like in outer space? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's like hilarious and amazing, right? Like, how do you do that? You know? So, so I'm having fun. So that's how like this whole America thing has come about. And so I write America, and Joe Quiñones does the art, and a couple of other artists have done, like Ramon Villalobos and Ming Doyle, Jen Bartel, like a whole bunch of like talented folks are working on America right now. And number 5 is out, number 6 is headed to print, and we're hoping to at least make it to 12.
Can I ask a question? Is that all right? Okay. So, Gabby. So when we talk about the Speakeasy was both a place that Gabby and I created together for young QPOC individuals, but it also included content that we wrote for Autostraddle. So one of the things that was very important to us was writing, whether it was about pop culture events that was about QPOC folks or just issues that normally were not covered by writers that were mostly white, and we knew that the young people needed to see more content that was about them. So can you, Gabby, tie the work that we did writing those or putting together that content for Autostraddle, the importance of having these young QPOC folks see themselves in a world that does not allow them to see themselves very well, and the work you now do with Juliet? That was a big question. So it's basically about the importance of all of this work, from what I'll call beginning with the Speakeasy to now with Juliet and America, and giving young QPOC folks the ability to see themselves.
I mean, I think what's interesting is, like, you know, there's La Borinqueña, so she's like a Latina superhero, but as far as like a huge mainstream comic situation, like there's no other America Chavez. So literally, if you're Latina, if you're queer, whatever, if you're all those things, she's the one, right? And so that is one tremendous pressure to make it good, right? But it's also like wild. It's like wild, right? Because if we think about like the way that like I think Latinx identity is developed in the United States, right? It's so like racialized, right? And it's like there's this idea that like we're all kind of this one generic group of Latinos, right? And not folks from all these different cultures and countries and islands, and bringing together all these different understandings. We're like this generic thing. And so sometimes I think we get like stuck here, especially in this country, like that you can only see yourself go so far if you're like, you know, of a certain type, certain skin color. Maybe you don't get to see yourself be a doctor or an astronaut or anything like that. You know what I mean? So for America to be exploring this Latinidad in outer space where anything is possible, where it isn't like it's not a colonized space, not in my world, not in the world I'm creating. Everybody is like, you know, POC and like proud to be here. And I really did not want her story also to come from colonization too. I wanted to create a world where there was a superhero Latina that could just like exist, like came out of love and soil, and like not this wildly traumatic experience, right? Because sometimes I like look at myself and I'm like, I'm the product of like war and rape, you know, like African slaves, indigenous native folks, and Spanish colonizers. Like Spanish colonizers took over Puerto Rico, and like through all of this destruction and trauma comes me, and I fucking carry that every day. And I'm like, what would it be like to not have that? You know, what would it be like that, like if we could have just been like indigenous folks, like where we were. I have no concept of my mother's history past my grandfather. I have no concept of so many things. And I think it's like startling to sit and really examine it. And if it's me and I feel this way, then I can't imagine what it feels like for the like hundreds and thousands of folks coming from like that type of like diasporic experience and backgrounds, you know? And so for me, America Chavez is like a breath of like freedom, you know? Like, she can go anywhere. There are no borders for her. There is no ice coming for her. There's like superhero shit, you know what I mean? Like, like she's got to fight something, you know what I mean? But it's not like this, you know? But at the same time, Carolyn, using America's comic to discuss those things, right? Like using America's comic to talk about, well, what does it mean if you're bouncing? Because she can punch portals through dimensions. So America punches portals from one dimension to another. So what does it look like if you're a young child and you're alone and you're punching into Bolivia? And then you're punching into Cuba, and then you're punching into the Bronx, and you're experiencing all these like brown folks loving on you with all these different cultures that are claiming you, but maybe you're not really of them. So that's one way to kind of like talk about being othered and talk about like being racialized, but without having to do it in this like U.S. colonial like diasporic shit. So
awesome.
I hope that makes sense.
That's some badass shit. Growing up as a mixed blood kid, that would have been like the only thing I had growing up was Billy Jack. I don't know. Anybody in here know Billy Jack? Right? So Billy Jack was an ex-Green Beret. He's played by a white dude, but he plays a mixed blood native guy, and he protects this reservation and beats people up by taking his shoes off and kicking the shit out of them, right? And so we had that, or we had Little Big Man, right? Those were the heroes we had growing up. And boy, I would have loved to seen a comic book like that gave me like an idea, an inkling of like what it could be like without, you know, your whole family going to boarding schools and not being able to learn the language and all that kind of shit. So my question for you is, how do you carry that forward into the next thing that you do, right? Like, and keep changing it, keep growing it, keep bringing forth this idea of decolonization on a level that we may not be able to look past our own hurt for. Does that make sense?
I mean, listen, I don't. I think it's something to like evolve in work, right? So like, many moons ago, and don't look for it because I've buried it. I made like a short film, and it's like about like young lesbians, right? And the whole premise was some West Side Story shit, where like the white girl from the suburbs fell in love with the Puerto Rican girl from the Bronx, and it was like la la la, oh my god. This white girl, so amazing. Oh my God! So there's that, right? So there was this like kind of like fetishization of whiteness, this like upholding it in this film that I made, because I was young. I don't know no better. To me, that seemed like it would be really entertaining and cute, right? And then I've got this book, Juliet Takes a Breath, and one of the main characters is a white feminist, and Juliet navigates white feminism. But once again, in my work, there is like a large chunk of space for white folks. And so I'm like, okay, I need to really challenge myself to like shift that, right? So here are some models for navigating white feminism, because you will, right? Because that's just how it works, and whiteness and white supremacy, and also queerness and all these things in Juliet. So here's a model, right? But if I'm going to continue working and moving and pushing my work, I have to like decenter whiteness as a figure of authority, of understanding, of access to information and education. And if I don't continue to do that, then I'm not growing, right? So one of the things that I'm doing with America is that, so basically America Chavez is kind of like, you know, not the only Latino, but like she's kind of like Latina, and then everyone around her in other teams, like the Young Avengers, all that stuff, is either like white, maybe there's like one black superhero. So when I'm thinking about writing for her, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to make characters up. Like, you know, like I'm going to make up all these characters of color and make them magic and super. And every once in a while, I'll pull in somebody from the Marvel Universe. But I have to push the boundaries of this Marvel Universe while I have the opportunity. While I'm here, I'm going to write everybody in. You know what I mean? Like, So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to like subvert it in that way, and like my next works are going to be like totally centered like on Latinos and like people of color. You know what I'm saying? And like I've done that work for myself, so now I can like move forward.
Hi, thank you, Gabby. I have a couple of questions. I mean, one of the things that I really wanted to come and see you is because you do the comic thing, right? Back in the days, we have Alison Bechdel. We have another artist who was doing another comic character. I myself and my partner, we did a comic book in the 80s in Mexico City called Esporádica. One of the things is like the comic book world is mainly males. Very hardly females going into doing comic books. Now, working for Marvel, as you say, now that you are there, how is that flexibility to play and create all these characters within that corporation? Okay? Because Allison started by herself, then he moved on. Now he got a scholarship. She's in Europe. Us, in Mexico City, we got funded by the Women's Funding in San Francisco. We did 5 issues of our comic book in the 80s. In Mexico City at that time, and still at this point, comics and cartoons are only for males. When we came out, we did a good effort and we distribute the comic book nationwide in bookstores. But we had people coming into the bookshelves and hide our comic book. And we got very, very discriminated by the mainstream comic book artists and the people who do cartoons in the newspapers because we were females. And our sponsor, not our sponsor, the person who kind of clapped our shoulder to move on was Robert Crumb and his wife, Allison, Alice Kominsky. They put us a clap. They allowed us to translate for the first time one of his comics in Mexico, Futsi, that comic. We translate Futsi in Spanish for the first time. Robert Crumb was published in Spanish in our feminist, lesbian comic book that nobody wanted. Okay? We ended in San Francisco in 1986, 1987, and we did performance with our book, Esporádica, and we described our journey from Mexico City all the way here, not as the typical immigrants. I mean, we were not farmers. My partner was a graphic designer, and I was a journalist at the time. But going into the mainstream media as a lesbian comic book author or writer is not easy still. How are you going to challenge Marvel to allow you to play with all those diversity and characters that you want, knowing that you are in a corporation? Woo!
Okay, well, first, the immediate team that I work with is a white guy named Will Moss and an editor, Sarah White Queer, right? And, I don't give I want to say that, like, I feel like they're both two folks, especially Will. Will's kind of like that like woke white dad that you hope for, like the dad that takes his kids to rallies and all that shit. And he's just like, Gabby, like, whatever you want to do, I'll support you. Like, I love this. Yup. Okay. Yep. Like, and lucky for me in that respect, he is just like here for the conversation. Now, my immediate team is different from like corporate Marvel, right? So I wanted to put Trump's face instead of Hitler's face. But we couldn't do that because at the time Trump, well, now he's president or whatever, but it was like a presidential nominee, and corporate Marvel was like, So like I wanted Trump, got Hitler. It's kind of like this wild thing, right? And so there are moments like that where like there is nowhere to push, right? And there's moments like that where I'm like, this is also what I signed up for, right? To work with Marvel is also to like understand that they've got their own rules and their own stuff, and there's big money there, right? And like so there's all of that. But with the team that I work with, all of the ideas that I submit that are about like reflecting folks who look like me and my family, and like using Spanish and like pushing the envelope of like, no, that's not brown, that's beige. Brown. No, that's wavy, not curly. Keep pushing, you know, like to push artists and stuff for that kind of stuff. They're here. They've got my back. You know what I mean? And so it's actually really lovely. I was scared. I was like, damn, I'm going to write something and these people are going to like take me down at every turn. So they're super supportive and I feel thankful for that. Now, in the public sphere, there are so many white men that are so mad about America Chavez. Oh my God, they have made YouTube videos that are like, America Chavez is the destruction of American values, social justice warrior crap. Oh my God. And they're like making a living off trashing her. So part of me wants to encourage more folks to read America and give her love out into the world, because these folks mobilize, you know what I mean? And they push and they're hurtful and harmful. And like, you know, so there's that. But I don't fucking care about them, man. I don't fucking care about them. I fight for what I can and what means the most to me, and I also remember that my authentic voice is in my writing. So I have to write my own books and continue to do that. You know, Marvel's nice and good, and I appreciate it so much, and it's like a wild dream that I didn't even know I had. But for me to push and challenge and really do that nitty-gritty, like, stuff and say the things I want to say, that's me writing my second book. That's me, like, writing my own stuff that I own. You know what I mean? So that's how I navigate that. And I just focus on the people that, you know, when you have like really tough-ass Latinos come to see you and they bring their baby and they're like, we want our son to be a feminist. And he's 3 months old. Shit, like hey. That's what matters to me most. So like they can continue making America videos and be mad, like, they're so mad.
All right, so we want to leave time for Gabby to sign copies of Juliet in America. So I have two last questions here, and then we're going to wrap it up.
First, I wanted to thank you so much for being so moving and for talking about tenderness, you know, and for being so empowering at the same time. That's one thing I am loving about this conference, the combination of smart and heart. I mean, really, I feel so moved by you. And you stirred up some of my personal ancestors I haven't thought about for a while. And I won't go into detail about that because this is kind of your gig right now. And I really want to say it's all about me, and I'm a poet. And the word that kept coming to me is my word for this year, and that is publication. Publication. Taking my private that I've been since I was 14 and putting it out there, you know, and that's what you're doing. I think it's just so beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You close it up.
You sure? Okay. All right, so that was our last question. Oh, well, we do have time for one because one bowed out, so go ahead.
It's not really a question, just thank you. I love Juliet. And I got the book from Oakland Public Library. And so in terms of getting both the book and your comic book more love, your comic book Get America Chavez more love, is buy the damn books and give them to places where there's young kids. Take them to your, coffee shop. Take them to your school. Give them to every teacher you know. Request it at the library, even if you've already read it. Like 15 times, request it, because that's how they buy more books. It's not even how many times it gets checked out. It's how many times you go in a computer and ask for it. Let's get her some more love. Thank you.
All right. So, and to that point, I have actually added Juliet to my ethnic literature class. And, of course, West Contra Costa Unified School District has not got my books yet. So I'm going to probably do like you all and go downstairs and put in a mass order for Juliet, and you guys should do that too and get yours signed, and there will be America downstairs as well. Did you want to say anything else, Gabby? Are you done? Thank you.